on Netflix, I caught for the first time in about 20 years, Pulp Fiction. I'd seen bits and pieces of it here and there since then, just not the whole thing all the way through. Now, this is an excellent movie. Is it the greatest of all time? No, probably not. It is pretty damn good, so I'm going to be ranting and raving about what I recall from it, because it's been about 2 weeks since I've seen it, but so this is Quentin Tarantino at his most Quentin Tarantino. This is a series of vignettes, these stories that tie together. You got this couple that is plotting to rob places, and they're getting fed up with what they've been robbing, so hey, why not rob the restaurant we're sitting in? So they decide to do that. Then I think we cut to Vincent Vega, who is John Travolta. He got an Oscar nomination for Best Actor in a Leading Role, though he's probably in half or less of the movie. You could kind of see this as being John Travolta and Bruce Willis as the leads, in the sense that they're both probably the largest supporting roles. I wouldn't really say that this really has a lead, a single lead. Anyhow, he's in a car, he's riding with Jules. This is Samuel L. Jackson at the point at which he really blew up. Prior to this, I don't think anybody really knew his name, to be honest with you. Hell, he's in Jurassic Park and people don't even realize it. And he even had a catchphrase, "Hold on to your butts." So, they're in this car and they're talking about this time that John Travolta spent in Amsterdam, and he's saying, you know, famous bit here about the Royale with cheese being what they call the quarter pounder in like France, I believe. Screw the hoodie. Hair's a little messed up, don't give a shit. I'm sure you don't either. So, they're on their way to go collect some debts. These guys are holed up in an apartment building. They go in, they're like, oh hey, you surprised to see us? Oh, but this briefcase, there's some kind of gold reflective off of it. Are we good? We're good, or whatever, right? And then they shoot the guys up, you know, after giving them a long monologue from like the Bible. And they take one of them captive. And then we see that Bruce Willis is a boxer, a decent boxer in the twilight of his years, and he's going to throw a fight under the being paid off by Ving Rhames' Marcellus Wallace. And so he's supposed to throw this fight, and I probably got these stories out of order now that I think about it. But he flees after knocking the guy out and actually murdering him. I think that's what happened. I think he actually killed the guy. So he flees. He plans to run to, I think, Mexico with his girlfriend, going to be fiance. I don't know if she's baby mom or what necessarily. And he has this watch that Christopher Walken gave to him as a small boy. It's really odd. This guy walks into his mom's apartment. He's like, hey, I knew your husband way back in the day. And he snuck this watch aboard. It's like this heirloom that's been carried in ass throughout the years. Kind of a funny story, but more about this later. So, his girl forgot the watch. She heads back to the apartment, gets it, but sings Ving Rhames in the process. The guy who's after him runs him over, shots are fired and all this stuff. Kathy Griffin has a cameo here. She's like not famous at all at the time of this, and she's actually credited as Kathy Griffin as herself. Yeah, it's windy today. I don't even know if you can hear this. So, he runs off, sneaks into this pawn shop. The guys there actually knock him out, knock out Ving Rhames also, and they've got their own plans for him. You know, they're going to sodomize him. And so, it appears as though, I think Bruce Willis is able to get out of the shackles, and he runs and gets a sword, and he's slicing these guys up. He frees Ving Rhames, as I guess he thought, well, he didn't really deserve this, and then from that point forward, they're like, okay, we're cool, but you gotta leave Los Angeles. He's like, I can live with that, right? So, oh yeah, by the way, I missed the part here where at his apartment, Bruce Willis kills John Travolta, who left a submachine gun on the counter, and Bruce Willis sees it and is like, oh, somebody's been in here. Oh, the guy's in the bathroom? Blast. Kind of a fun moment, kind of like, you know, most of this works as what-if scenarios. These smaller termite art moments of life. You have, what would happen if, you know, what are hitmen talking about as they're headed to the job? What if they gotta take a leak? What happens? That's the way this movie functions, and it functions well for those reasons. So they're cool in all this. We have kind of an out-of-context flashback moment here. I think this might have occurred earlier, actually. Yeah, I mean, in the way that it's presented, but John Travolta has to go take Marcellus Wallace's wife out on the town. She wants to go dancing at this, like, 50s diner experience, and they do like a twist contest, so maybe it's 60s era, but I mean, it's an interesting little moment there. You got chances for cameos. Buddy Holly is a character at the joint, played by Steve Buscemi, and he, of course, he's in another Tarantino film, and you're going to see most of the Reservoir Dogs show up in this. So they have a decent time, but they go back to her place and she does these drugs that he picked up, thinking it was something else. It was actually too much for her, so he has to go and get an EpiPen to bring her back. And interesting way that's actually presented, because it's like they take this car and it seems to crash into a building and knock up part of this guy's house, the drug dealer, and then it's all in one shot. I'm thinking they drove past with doubles, and then they had them in the car to begin with, set in the right place. I'm thinking that's how it worked. So, yeah, so you got their story. Then you have the Bonnie situation. John Travolta and Marcellus Wallace accidentally blast, what is his name, Phil Lamar from Mad TV. They shoot him in the car and he gets blood all over the car. And they gotta clean this up, but they take the body to a buddy's house, played by Quentin Tarantino. He says his wife Bonnie's gonna come home. He doesn't need this mess. They call, shit, forgot his name. He's in like most of the movies I've reviewed here, especially on Instagram, the ones I wrote reviews of. You know who I'm talking about. They call him, you know, the dad from Dusk from Dawn. Bad Lieutenant, God's sake. Yeah, I look like an idiot, I know. Call him up, need his advice. He comes in, cleans the joint up, has an accurate NSX. That's pretty cool. It doesn't really show them doing much of the cleaning, but it's him telling the story of how they're going to do it, and then it's inherently done. Fairly crafty. Then, you know, we're pretty much near the end of the movie here. We're back to the diner at the beginning. And the diner situation blows up. Actually, Vince and Jules were there at the diner, and we see that John Travolta, he went to the bathroom. Jules, he's a changed man. He's now like a man of God, because he felt like they were saved by some divine intervention back at that apartment when shots were getting out, and they all went through him, apparently. So he talks the situation down, gets his wallet back, but I think he gives all the money to the people, along with all the other wallets stolen. Hell, I would have done the more noble thing, said you can take my money, leave theirs. But the couple leaves. No one had to die, no one died. And I think that's where our movie ends. Now, to say a few things here, people have attributed this as being, oh, his hallmark, Quentin Tarantino, beginning a movie where it ends. No, not necessarily. I think that there's more drive to this because we have these different storylines that are being tied together. And I'm going to have to run through somebody, but everybody's got to deal with it here. But the reality is it's more lazy in, say, Kill Bill, where we're starting off with the movie in a different place than it needs to end. and with events out of order, even though the movie follows one character. So that movie's chopped up just for the sake of being chopped up. Now, since this movie actually follows different narratives, we're looking at the story presented through all these different viewpoints. You can't honestly argue that this movie is chopped up or out of order, because we're starting each tale with a fresh set of eyes. I think that's a stronger way to do this. Now, where would I say that this movie is flawed? Well, the performances are good, really interesting, great dialogue actually. This is before, I guess, Tarantino decided to crack that up to level 11 and just make it a spoof of himself with people talking too damn much, all Inglourious Bastards, which by the way sucks. So, yeah, I got a hoodie hit me in the face. Deal with it, guys. With Pulp Fiction, though, everything's snappy. It helps that the movie looks gorgeous. This is before films were entirely molested by digital color correction and other effects. It looks great. Shots are simple enough that you can follow them. The editing's not overwrought. But there is something about the writing that I think it more than hints of Tarantino being a racist. You know, how come every character has some kind of racial slur in their background, huh? I mean, I'm not going to repeat them here because I don't want you guys flagging me. But everybody talks like they're a racist. Now, was that necessarily the case in 1994 Los Angeles? You know, probably not so much. And if so, it'd probably be more against one group of people instead of everybody that's not white. But that's the way the movie plays it. It's like, well, I'm just some random guy walking into some woman's apartment, gonna give her kid a watch because his dad was a war buddy of mine, and here's a racial slur for you. Yeah, I give Pulp Fiction 3.5 out of 4 stars.